You're watching the Dallas Cowboys Report. I am Tom Downey here with, mailbag, answering all of your questions with what's going on around America's team. We'll begin with one from Cory. Sign David Njoku. Decent name here. I think that the tight end class, if you're not going to pay Dalton Schultz what I think is going to be an $11 or $12 million a year deal, I think that's what he's going to command on the open market, there are some names. David Njoku is one of them. He might be a bit expensive, but I think it would be a good addition. I think he offers you more playmaking at receiver than even Schultz does. Maybe not as much blocking because despite his issues in space, Schultz is actually a pretty good blocker overall relative to other tight ends last season. All right, from Daniel Crotty, how much would Zeke, Dak, and everybody be with a fixed offensive line? I mean, I think you saw the issues down the stretch last year where that interior O-line and edges too, frankly, everyone on that unit, even Zach Martin, didn't play as well as their individual talent says that they should. I think in the playoff game, it really impacted Dak. For much of the regular season stretch, it really impacted Zeke. The O-line's better, or at least good enough, it will result in better play. And it would make life easier on your play caller, who clearly struggled without a good offensive line. Super chat time from Alexander Forte. Thank you, Alex. How soon will we start to see roster moves being made, cuts and extensions? In theory, soon. I'm a little surprised they've made nothing so far. The Combine gets going here next week. So what you're going to see is Dallas is going to meet with various agents for players on this roster, most likely at the Combine. I think you'll start to get some progress there. The new league year begins like a week after the Combine or a week and a half after the Combine. So your deadline, you've got like 3 weeks to start doing stuff. So in terms of the timing, it's going to be very soon that Dallas finally starts to do stuff this offseason. From Zaxier Lover. Oh, okay. Would you trade for a Laremy Tunsil to replace Tyron Smith? Interesting. Yes and no. I do think Tunsil's available. And if you get him, you got to feel great about your left tackle situation for the next 10 years or so, somewhere in that range. His contract, if traded, it's not that bad. You know, you're going to be paying him $15.75 million on a 2-year deal, and you might extend him anyway. But we saw Tunsil wants top-end market money. So 2 years of cheap play, and then you're going to have to give him a $25 million a year deal, which it's fine. That's how the market works. You're going to be fine with a big-time cap. But you got to give up big picks for Laremy Tunsil. I think it might be your first and your second to go get him. So you feel great about left tackle, but if Tyron's healthy, there's not any real difference in the level of play. You also don't trust Tyron Smith. So the real question here is how you feel about Tyron being able to play out, to be out there and be healthy. Confidence level should not be a 10. I don't know what we're going to do here with Tyron long term, but I do want to hear what you guys have to say. Scale it for me, 1 to 10. What is your confidence level in Smith this upcoming? This will be the pinned comment, by the way, on today's video. From Tigue Motorsports, could we get Von Miller? Could? Yes. Will? I don't know. I don't know if that's the most likely outcome. I know that there's the ties to Dallas. It makes more sense this year than it's done in the past. I would have interest. Cost is a factor here. You know, Dallas might rather give Randy Gregory money because he's younger and he's a homegrown talent and we like our guys. If the money's right, they absolutely should have interest. From Ryder Kincaid. First off, awesome name, Ryder. Trade Zeke for draft picks. You're probably not going to get that done. Issue here, who wants Zeke's contract right now? Nobody. No one's going to pay that guy $12 million. Coming off injury, a couple down years in a row, expensive contract. The value for the running backs is not what it was even 5 years ago. So if you can find a trade partner, sure, I am down to have that conversation. I'm not going to get my hopes up, though, for that being the actual outcome in the end. Now, there have been plenty of trade questions already, and if you want to stay in the know with what's going on, what general players could be on the trade block, go subscribe to the Chat Sports YouTube channel. Link there is below. It'll be in the comment section, the description as well. It's youtube.com/ChatSportsTV. The Chat Sports YouTube channel has everything you need to know about the NFL. Brett, Tyron Smith and Mekhi Becton, or for Becton and a first. Who says no? The Jets say no. Now, it's a good question if they would even do it straight up. Mekhi Becton, I don't think gets dealt, but it's not the most outlandish idea because he's had weight issues, at least for the Jets. They were unhappy with him this year. They put him on notice. They said it was going to be a competition for their first-round pick after a great year one, injury-plagued year two with apparent weight issues with George Fant. It's not good if you're Dallas or for the Jets. So the value of Becton's really tough to figure out, but I do know a first and Becton for Smith, the Jets say no. I would do it, though, in a heartbeat. That'd give me a top 10 pick. Let's ride, but Jets will not. From Janek, should we re-sign LVE? If you had asked me this, and you guys did ask me this, in mid-November, my answer was no. Now, I'm a lot more open to it. He closed the season pretty solidly down the stretch in terms of his reliable play. I don't want to make him my high-paid Jalen Smith #1 money linebacker. That's not the route I want to go. But if I can get him on a cheapish deal, yeah, I got interest in that. It would not preclude me, though, from drafting a linebacker on day 1 or day 2. From No Man's Land, can Dallas get Jeff Okudah in a trade? Okudah's a weird one for me. He hasn't been good in Detroit. Injuries, a big problem in that. So I'm not really sure how you balance that in terms of what's he worth. Lions spent a third-round pick on him. If they are willing to move him cheap, the first instinct is, well, I got interest there, but why would the Lions be willing to give up the third overall pick on the cheap? Would make me think they're out on Okudah, and if they're out on him, maybe that's not somebody that I want. So it's a tricky balancing act. I wouldn't get your hopes up for him. This isn't even a C.J. Henderson situation. By the way, he was bad. Henderson was bad in Carolina. I would say don't focus too much on Okudah. I think the Lions bring him back. If maybe next year we can revisit that conversation. Speaking of trades, I want you guys to name a player who you want to trade for. Get your votes in for me, or your names, I should say, in the comment section. From Zach Taylor, Gronk or Ertz? Any top tight end in the draft? I think let's go with Ertz here. He was fine in Arizona. I think the decline has kind of set in there. He might be a bit too expensive, but if he's affordable, sure. I'd actually have more interest in Gronk, as weird as that might sound, because he's still a really good blocker. I don't love Ertz in line anymore. Draft, though, I don't want to go round 1. Probably not round 2, but if I can get a somehow Jalen Weidermeyer or Trey McBride in round 3, probably not. I'd have interest. Jeremy Ruckert out of Ohio State. You guys want a blocking tight end, right? That's your guy, and I would argue probably upside as a pass catcher since OSU never threw to him because they had all of the receivers instead. All right, next up, Johnnie Henry. What are the odds of signing Juju Smith-Schuster? Check in with me once we know what happens with, Gallup and Cooper. If Cooper goes, I think the Juju odds go up. I'll say this. I think Juju's figured it out in terms of being able to maximize his value. You want to boost your value? You go after, you mention yourself to the Cowboys. So it might just be a marketing move there for Juju and for the Cowboys. Now, we'll keep you updated with what's going on around the Cowboys with daily videos and weekly live shows all year long. So if you haven't already, folks, hit that big red button and subscribe today for free Cowboys videos. Super chat from Brian Parson. Jimmy G is 5-2 with 2 NFC Championship game appearances and a Super Bowl appearance. Dak is 1-4. For the record, I do think we should be including, getting the home bye as a playoff win, but that's not how its numbers counted, so I get it there. Dak is 1-4. I know I love you. I know you love Dak, but Tom, I'm not sold. I understand the playoff lack of success, which is fairly true for a lot of these QBs. But I also saw comments like, well, go get Deshaun Watson. What has Watson done in the postseason that's so great? Like, I think a lot of our value is attached to how we felt about a player coming into the league. That's why Sam Darnold, who sucks, by the way, got a second-round pick and change back. Imagine if we were the fan base, if we were the Texans when they blew that game against the Chiefs. They were up big in that game, and they lost. So, yes, Jimmy G has had playoff success. How much of the success for the Niners and for the Cowboys do we attribute to the QB? Very different figures. I think that the Niners argument, I'll spin it around here, that is evidence that you need a better supporting cast. Because Jimmy G's a game manager. And like he's in Tannehill's one game throwing 11 passes. Both those QBs, by the way, very highly paid quarterbacks. So, yes, we need better playoff success. That's been the case for 30-some-odd years, not 25-some-odd years now. I get that. I understand the apprehension. I know what Dak can do. We've seen him do it in the playoffs and in the regular season. Frankly, this past game was the only bad game he's had in the postseason. So, I'm looking at the coaching staff. I'm looking at various front office members. Got to do a little bit better moving forward. But I understand the general unhappiness that so many of us have in the comments, including me, with the recent lack of success for Dallas. All right, Ronald Jones. Which Georgia defensive lineman would you draft? I'll look at 3 here that I want to kind of mention. I'll include Trayvon Walker as kind of a D-line edge hybrid. Devontae Wyatt and Jordan Davis. All 3 players who I do have some semblance of interest in. Trayvon Walker, I think, is probably gone in terms of the impact. I think he's off the board top 20. Devontae Wyatt, Jordan Davis, both could be there along the defensive line in round 1. Now, Wyatt offers you more as a pass rusher. Jordan Davis was better when he was out there, but he was a part-time player for the Dallas Cowboys. That's not exactly what you want in the end in terms of a first-round pick. But when he's out there, he's awesome. So I don't have a great answer. I think I'd go Trayvon Walker here first and foremost. You can type in TW for Trayvon Walker, and this is all messed up here, so sorry about that, guys. TW for Trayvon Walker, DW for Devontae Wyatt, and JD for Jordan Davis. You can pick the one I said, TW, DW, or JD. Let me know which one you'd rather have in the comments section. I think I'd go Trayvon Walker myself. Zach, DC for life. Would you accept this trade? Coop and a third to the Ravens in exchange for the 14th pick. You get wide receiver, offensive guard with 14 and 24. If you're going to move him, I do think that makes the most sense. In terms of like the value back, you give up a third, whatever, but you're solidifying receiver cheaper. You're fine there. You get, in theory, like Kenyon Green. Or maybe you go Tyler Linderbaum at 14, and you still get a receiver at 24. I'm open to that idea if you decide you want to move Amari Cooper. So Ravens might say no, but I like what you're thinking there, Zach.